Asina wada. Oh, wada there china.
Oh, Atima. I forgot that big picture.
What to
Mm, mm,
what happened?
I didn't say.
Say one cow.
Nah, get this one guy. Yeah, I have the ideas done, but wait, I go finish on myself. Okay, I go finish them.
Okay.
Yes,
Did you make progress on the boy today?
I progress as in.
I've forgotten what the action plan was.
Then, yeah, today come, I tell him, see, Abby, then should I say, the training period. Because I tell him, say, for CC, if you do the job before anything to start. So,
Okay.
before, for sure, I'm getting, make it goofy. Make it CC, goofy, handle them.
Okay.
Yeah, so, that takes will take like a week or two do the training.
Okay.
Yeah, then after that we will see one.
Oh. Okay. Wow.
But I feel like about 10 35. Just about 12.
Alright, minus one over. You can't if you remember.
And I need to.
Menenko. Maybe. And I'll put it's all post video. That's okay.
Yeah, it's a very old video. The time I began today, we get some outdoor idea we want to test, but it didn't happen.
Also,
We don't go shoot for like for the footbridge, one of the footbridges though, on the M1. Let's see how it would do. Maybe one of the guests we will get will probably go do that, but I don't want to do a test run this.
more noise cancellation.
Oh, that's how we know. Maybe Holy Land, make sure it was that day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but me that can count.
Okay.
So,
Oh boy. What's happening is here?
New Gillette Fusion 1. One to
I mean, okay, on all things being equal, yeah, because Holland versus Portugal in the semi-final game, I think favorites are Portugal. But let's I mean, they have some quality in there.
So their squad, let me go through their squad.
Yeah.
They've got Flecken and Verbruggen as their goalkeepers. So it looks like Verbruggen will be starting. They've got Nathan Ake, Denzel Dumfries, who's going to Real Madrid. And we'll come to that as well. We are hearing something that Mourinho is saying there.
Yeah.
They say he doesn't, we'll come there. Gerald Hatto from Chelsea, and Julian Timber, Mickey van der Ven, Virgil van Dijk, Jean-Paul van Heck, Matt Wafer.
Yeah.
Look at this defense. Top quality.
Yeah, quality players. Quality.
On the midfield, they've got Frankie de Jong, Martin de Vrij, Gravenberch,
Yeah. Quality.
Justin Kluivert, Tion Koopmeiners, Tijani Reinders,
Underrated.
Goose Till, and Quentin Timber.
Yeah.
Up front, they've got Emilia Brobbey,
Yeah.
Ryan Brobbey, Memphis Depay,
Experience.
Cody Gakpo, Noah Lang, Doniel Marlin, Crescencio Somerville, and Wout Weghorst.
You see, if the gentleman is basing his prediction on teamwork and no star, like there's no star in the team, no one star that's or like teamwork, probably I can say, well, we can support that for the first time, we want a new winner of the World Cup. So yeah, but in attack, the names he has mentioned in attack, I think they lack a bit. They lack that cutting edge to overdo and do, when the goings get tough. Are you going to rely on Marlin, Emilia Brobbey, Gakpo? Could the Gakpo by this time? I doubt. So his prediction is a bit interesting. If he gets it right again, then we have to go and see him and actually if Ghana will win the AFCON.
Use a certain model.
Yeah.
But I mean, apart from this studies, who is the favorite in your books?
It's crazy.
Or maybe your top three.
I mean, that would
Profile them and see.
Yeah, that
But yesterday, Kobe Manu was speaking. He said he believes England will win the World Cup.
No. England never going to win the World Cup. I mean, what Saudi did with England when he was around, there's pressure on Thomas Tuchel. And to even list this controversial call-up alone, he cannot go out very early in the competition. But Thomas Tuchel is one that he's a tournament man. He knows how to play tournament. He very strict with the knockout games, and he will go far. As whether they win it or no, I don't know, but I think he has seen that he needs physicality in this England team to go far in the World Cup, and he called for that. And I mean, he's going to the World Cup with Ben, Ivan Toney. It's an interesting name that he called and dropped some home. So it's a bold decision to make. Now he has to work that kind of decision, and let's see if it will work for him. To me, my top three, obviously, you have France there.
Okay, now let's profile the France team as well. Let me see France. They've got a very stacked team. Their goalkeepers are Mike Magnan, Ruben Risset of Lens, and Bryce Samba of Stade Rennais. Defenders Luca Dean, Villa, Malo Gusto, Lucas Hernandez, Theo Hernandez, Ibrahim Konate, who doesn't have a team. He he's also going to Real Madrid. Jules Koundé, Maxime Lacroix, William Saliba, and Dayo Upamecano. Midfielders N'Golo Kante, Manu Kone, Adrien Rabiot, Aurelien Tchouameni, and Warren Zaïre Emery. Attackers, Magnus Akliouche, Bradley Barcola, Ryan Cherky, Ousmane Dembélé, Desiree Doué, Jean-Philippe Mateta, Kylian Mbappe, Michael Olise, and Marcus Thuram.
Because fantastic lineup. But there's a problem with the French national team. The midfield.
Why?
The midfield. And I'll explain. The midfield. Because France never lack when it comes to midfielders. If you watch in recent times, N'Golo Kante cannot help again and do a lot. N'Golo Kante is not the N'Golo Kante of old. I would rely on Tchouameni to lead the midfield at the big stage. He won before last World Cup. He was there, but somebody was also there. There were some players that were on form that took France to the final again. Their defense is solid, the attack is solid, but the spine, the middle of the French national team is a bit questionable now. Ryan Cherky as number 10, okay, no problem. Tchouameni, Rabiot, come on, Kante, they lack in midfield. So if you are going to beat France, or if you want to take France out of this World Cup early, it's the midfield. You have to overcrowd the midfield and make sure that you have numerical advantage in midfield ahead of them. Because even though Kante right now he's a bit weak, he will bring his A game, but the balance, Kante, Tchouameni, there's no balance there. Rabiot is on form, even though he's a tournament player, and he plays very well for the French national team. But I'm going to see a Rabiot that will play proper football for us again. They are lacking some balance in midfield. I don't know. Tchouameni is going to start. Is he going to start N'Golo Kante? Is he going to try Koulibaly? But that guy Koulibaly is a very good player. So if Deschamps will give some of these young guys a chance to get the balance, it makes sense. Koulibaly, I don't know why he's still at Ariel Shuma, but he's a very good.
Maybe after the World Cup, you get a big move. Maybe Chelsea should just
good midfielder. Good from Germany, which is back to Roma. Very good midfielder. But I think the seniors are going to start. Will you make your point? Will you advocate that he plays Ryan Cherky as number 10 or he brings Olise as number 10? There are spot for choices at the wing position. But I will do Olise at the right wing, Dembele left wing, Mbappe number 10, Ryan Cherky as Mbappe number 9, Ryan Cherky as number 10. Because the balance. The midfield, can Kante give you that longevity for the tournament? And Tchouameni bring his A game on board. So the names in midfield is a bit questionable. We are hyping the French team. They have attackers, they have Doué, they have that, they have Tchouameni, they have players throughout. But in midfield, there's a problem there. The problem is finding the balance, and if Kante can give them that performance he gave in the past, because Tchouameni, I doubt him a bit. So they are always able to win the World Cup because they have, quality in Mbappe and goal. I'll put them at number 3 because of the midfield problem. And because interestingly, every team that has the potential to win, there's some questions we can ask ourselves to doubt whether they will win. Next team, Portugal.
Number 2. Okay, let me get the Portugal squad really, really quickly.
So top 3. Next team, Portugal.
So we can profile the Portugal squad. So the goalkeepers are Diogo Costa of Porto, Jose Sa of Wolves, and Luis Silva of Sporting. Defenders Diogo Dalot, Matheus Nunes, Ruben Diaz, Nelson Semedo, Joao Cancelo, Nuno Mendes, Gonzalo Inacio, Renato Vega, and Thomas Araujo. Midfield Ruben Neves, Samu Costa, João Neves, Vitinha, Bruno Fernandes, Bernardo Silva. Forwards, Opemu, Cristiano Ronaldo, João Felix, Francisco Trincao, Francisco Conchesao, Pedro Neto, Rafael Leo, Gonzalo Guedes, and Gonzalo Ramos.
So that's the point, a direct opposite of what fans will lack in midfield. These people do lack in midfield. They are blessed in midfield because and it's well to they are blessed in midfield. And you go to their defense, that is where they have issues. You can partner Inacio and Ruben Diaz. Fair enough. Has Ruben Diaz been playing football week in, week out to get ready for a big mondial like this? That is my first question mark.
But their fullback positions are stuck.
They are blessed.
Cancelo.
Even if it's tired, no problem. Cancelo, they are okay. Midfield, they are okay. But the defense,
Semedo. You've got Semedo.
Semedo has back up to anybody there. They are blessed. They are blessed in our fullback. They have quality fullbacks. And even the wingers, even though their wingers are a bit smallish, somebody like Conceição, but when he gets his A game going, he gives some good to them. Rafael Leao, watching he wants to prove a point. Rafael Leao will take this World Cup very serious because it is a new club. Our friends have been playing good football in Saudi. Because I don't know what is stopping Portugal. My only worry for them is the defensive balance. They help use their staff at this end of the season.
No, you are injured a lot.
Yes. So who is going to partner in Nacio Carlo? He's a very good player. He is on form. I don't drive Renato Vega. I'm not sure you can partner him well. So again, favorite to win the tournament, but their question mark comes in their defense. Their defense, because they have a very good goalkeeper. Another problem is that Cristiano Ronaldo, not to say he's not a team player, but you see, sometimes they play as a unit. And see, sometimes not their fault, but they have to play for Ronaldo. Their style sometimes does not suit what he also wants. Because Ronaldo wants to come and play the ball. But at this point, he has to be in the box. So I just hope that he will not be a hindrance to winning his that trophy. Because if he has to win something, it is now. Imagine he wins the World Cup. That is all. He has to just retire. He has done it.
He probably retired the next day.
So Portugal has the squad. And you see, I want to send a message to Bruno Fernandes. You know, I've watched his interview recently on YouTube with a very, very top YouTuber. I think he does very well in interviews. And Bruno speaks very good. He speaks football. The potential to become a coach is there.
Somebody who has the vision for those assists.
He understands the game. He understands the game. When he's talking, he said that no, Bruno is a very good the game. He uses the terms. So guys, don't be surprised if Bruno enters coaching. After his playing career, he can easily become a coach. Very easy. Now, I want him to express himself at this World Cup. Don't go and be under the shadow of anybody there. Because if the team is big at PSG, and never is big at PSG, you are also big at United and in England. You are going to the tournament as the Premier League player of the season. Of course, are they giving the PFA?
Well, I think the PFA has no, it looks like you get it.
Why? Then Chava?
I don't know. I should say they will.
Then we can move on. So I want him because I need to Bruno. Because he speaks very well, but one thing I didn't agree with him is that he leaves opinions to coaches and players until he is asked to come in before he talks. No. If you have to give it, you give it.
The PFA, they go announce August 25.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, interesting. And I like the fact that he said when he's at Man United and the player makes a mistake, he says, you are a natural leader. Don't limit yourself in the Portugal national team. Because there are egos ahead of you. If it is the midfielders who have won the Champions League, you have to shout on them to do their work. You have to shout on them. Because if you win the World Cup, if you don't win the World Cup, that is all for you. Because this club that we have won nothing basically, any huge trophy. Only FA Cups and Carabao Cups. So if we don't go to this World Cup, I'm looking at him keenly for the Portugal attack. And also their coach. Because their coach is a problem. I tell you, don't go and make it fair with another tournament. You have quality.
Martinez.
You can. It's Martinez. Sorry. You can even use Ramos, Carlos Ramos alone to really go from the bench. If you don't come out. If you win the World Cup, you won as a team, not only for Ronaldo. Argentina played for Messi. So you can play for Ronaldo by taking him off. So for Portugal, it's one issue. The defense, another issue is that I hope that Ronaldo will not be a menace and not, be a team player. I feel like he will be. But if they have to play without him, there should be no Raha at camp. And that Portugal can go and try and win it.
So who's your third one?
Argentina.
Obvious reason. So let's prove out the team.
Yeah, and they are likely to win it again.
So their goalkeepers is called Emiliano Martinez. Prof sent me a message. Jesse sent me a message to also his top 3 teams to win the World Cup. Yes. Prof said France, Portugal, Argentina. And for those of you that are calling later as well, you can let us know who you think your top 3 are.
Exactly.
So Argentina, they've got Emiliano Martinez, Jeronimo Rulli from Marseille, and Juan Musso from Atletico Madrid. Had a pretty good season, I point. When what's his name was out, Oblak was out. Defenders Gonzalo Montiel, Nahuel Molina.
Bro, we work the same hours, same site. How do you look so shredded? Physical labor is not a workout. What do you mean? You go home after the shift and do nothing. I do military calisthenics, 15 minutes, 5 exercises, no equipment. Start the challenge this month.
Every journalist now is complaining that there's so much focus on bloggers. I was at the Courage press conference. The bloggers arrived 3-4 hours before we were ready. Take the front spots. The journalists were walking in like you own the place. That's it. And then they will still go and complain. No. Go in. I left my house at 6 a.m. By 6:45, I was seated at least. I didn't leave till 3 o'clock. When was that? It was 1.
You got there at what?
6. Somebody said to me, oh, my house is far. How far is your house? Wake up early. Wake up early. It's a simple rule. Wake up early. I'm falling into trouble a lot for some of the things that I say as a media manager. I'm being famous for that in that space. But I'm not afraid to tell you that you're not going to be a great TV presenter. That's it. I'm not afraid to say it. Some people don't like it. Some people will prove you wrong. When I started on radio, they said my voice was so bad I wouldn't make it as a broadcaster. No, I prove people wrong. And I'm happy for people to prove me wrong. Well, it's all right for people to be ambitious. But your best managers are the ones who will see where your capacity lies very early. And not discourage you, but guide you to get there. Your media, you mistake the bluntness of advice to mean that we don't want people to get as far as you hate me. Yeah. Now, if you say it, you're going to tell your wife, by the way, they will do it.
Well, my name is Kafi Day. My guest is Michael Oti J, sports journalist and media executive with over 2 decades of experience in sports media across print, radio, television, and digital. A message from our sponsor. Queuing for your favorite wache, you can accept it. If there's one thing that Ghanaians can relate with, it's queuing. Queuing for trotro. But one thing, no more sweating.
Name dropped because they wanted respect, because there was not enough.
Carlos Queiroz speak.
I've sat through quite a fair bit of them.
That unveiling. We are recording this a day after the introduction of the new Black Stars coach.
Yeah.
Tell me about that unveiling. What you felt when you heard Carlos Queiroz speak.
I've sat through quite a fair bit of them. I've sat through coaches who have come and name dropped because they wanted respect, because there was not enough in their CV and in their background to command the room. So they needed to tell you maybe they were friends with Pele or fiercely have to defend their background and then the people they knew and all that. So the unveilings have always been very dramatic affairs. Or with Otuado, where journalists spent hours and hours debating the Ghana Football Association whether Oto fitted the criteria and questions about whether he's a trainer or he's a scout and all that. This was different because the man who walked into that press conference from 1 walked in on time. They said 1 o'clock. It started at 1, which is rare this side of the world, but it was a pleasant surprise. But also, it was a man that a lot of the journalists in the room who knew their stuff would have known. years ago, he was an assistant to one of the greatest football managers of all time, Sir Alex Ferguson. He coached Real Madrid. He's managed at the World Cup 4 times. He has name recognition. He has a solid reputation. And I think that sort of fed into the answer. So we were a bit cuddly. The journalists were, I think, a bit starstruck. Because this is easily the highest profile coach that Ghana has hired. And I think he said the right things too. He struck the right tone. He started by telling us that the welcome at the airports and even the crowd that he has seen in the conference room at Alisa was a reflection, he thought, of the strong appetite for football in the country, but also how much all of that revolves around the Black Stars, and made a promise of how to work hard. I think the key thing from my experience is that he wasn't even condescending in his answers. So you have said something he didn't quite agree with, he will respond respectfully, but he would also sort of make his point. So, for instance, I asked him about whether he was a defensive coach, and he didn't get worked up, he didn't get into a confrontational attitude, simply just said in his books there's nothing like a defensive or an offensive. It just depends on, it's a winning coach, which was a nice way of saying, I do whatever it takes to win. So I thought he acquitted himself well. But look, our people have a saying, talk is cheap. And they say, talk not the cook rice as well. Yeah, so the sweetness of the pudding will be in the eating. And he has to prove, he has to get down to work, he has to make this team competitive. He has to ensure that this team plays 2 million times better than it's playing now, because the team is crawling, and he needs to start learning how to work again very quickly.
What went wrong under the Otto Addo comeback?
I think there were a lot of things that were wrong. I think the comeback shouldn't have happened in the first place, but it happened because the GFA president really wanted that comeback. He will prove it as justified because Ghana qualified for the World Cup. And I think also that's become one of the problems with us, is that we measure everything in football terms these days in terms of World Cup qualification. So our local league is tanking, it's not getting better. We've become pedestrians at the Nations Cup. We get knocked out in the first round. This is a tournament we went to the semi-final 6 straight times between 2008 up to about 2019 and 2017. And all of a sudden, we can't even qualify for the tournament. So I think that in my mind, and I've always had fierce arguments with people within the administration about this, I didn't think that Otto Addo understood the magnitude of leading Ghana. He would disagree, but I thought he never understood it. I thought some of the things he said after the Qatar World Cup, he wanted to go back to Dortmund, and he also used to believe that he had an ambition that was focused more at club level than national team level. But also, and hopefully they've learned from that experience, coaches can be effective for a short-term period, depending on their background. But we handed the biggest job in Ghana football to a man who had not managed single-handedly himself before. So before Otto Addo became Ghana coach, and his first major experience being the boss, it went their assistants in various capacities, whether at Nordsjælland, whether at Dream projects in Denmark, whether at Dortmund, where he was part of a really big technical staff. He's an efficient scout, is everything. And yet we handed him the responsibility of, and then we went to the World Cup, and I think everything that happened there should have informed me so that he never came back. And I thought that's where we sort of dropped the ball. So in my mind, he should never have come back. But even more crucial is after we failed to qualify for the Nations Cup, we missed such a big opportunity. When we failed to qualify for the Nations Cup, against the teams that we failed to qualify against the kind of football we played, the fact that we didn't win any match at home, it was such a big drop in our standards. This was like a company that typically makes, say, maybe $1 million, dropping down to 100,000, and nobody takes responsibility for that. Nobody left at the GFA. Otto Addo didn't leave. You could say that the GFA, because it's an elected position and it's an organized body, you have to pass a vote of no confidence. I can understand that. But I don't think there was enough that was done after that Nations Cup failure to let Ghanaians understand the magnitude of that failure. And I think somehow Tuadu began to think that as far as the Black Stars were concerned, he was indispensable because he had become the first coach to fail to qualify Ghana for a Nations Cup in 20 years. And he kept reminding us to get to the World Cup in 2022. Even recently, I was in Germany for his final game, and he kept going on about, people say he didn't qualify for the Nations Cup, but he's the first coach to take Ghana to 2 World Cups. So it's almost as if this side of the world has elevated everything and reduced everything to qualify for the World Cup. And I think that he just wasn't ready for that job. In hindsight, I think that he didn't have I don't think he had the experience, one, and he didn't fit that 15 years at the time gap that they gave. I don't think that he understood the complexities of man management the same way. I don't think he understood the emotions that came with managing a national team. I don't think that he understood the demands of the Ghanaian public, so I don't think he quite connected to that. And I think there were many times where he actually thought that it was maybe, look, I once described with Fado in a podcast I did a few years ago, that he effectively had somebody who was trying to make his way up in coaching. He may be 50, but he's still trying to make his way up in coaching. He has not coached the team on his own. This is not a Carlos Queiroz who's handled Real Madrid on his own. This is not even a Kwesi Appiah who's managed Asante Kotoko on his own, who's managed Sudan on his own. This is a guy who's part of a coaching staff at Borussia Dortmund. Massive German club. He's well respected in Germany, but he's not had a job on his own as the guy who makes all the decisions, as the guy who calls the players, as the guy who can put aside his differences with the player and say, I want to call him, as the guy who understands the philosophy, who must plan, who must go and convince players to come and play for Ghana, who must plan the routine, who must be in charge of the assistants and everybody. And I think at some point he really felt that we should be lucky to have had him. And sometimes it came off from there, and so I really don't think that he was ready for this. And I think that is squarely on Kete Kweku and his GFA administration, how that went. Because I think they badly dropped the ball on that.
They dropped the ball the first time he was employed.
The first time was it was mainly a stopgap. Remember that I think we had gone to the Nations Cup. He was an assistant too. So there were a lot of things with Otuado that on hindsight it's like you're in a bad relationship and you can see the red flags, but you're so obsessed with the other person that you ignore them. So when we appointed Milovan Raiva for his return, and Raiva took Ghana to the World Cup quarterfinal in 2010, so there was a big appetite. I was one of those who said, just hand him that job. It didn't work well. But it struck me at the time, our assistant coach then was working at Borussia Dortmund. And because that job is so important, and here I'm just being plain sarcastic, he couldn't come to sit on the bench during the Nations Cup. For the first time, so we went to the Nations Cup, and our assistant coach was not there. You understand? He was not at the tournament because he had become like a player who has to be released by his club. And his club said, well, we cannot let him go. Remember, assistant coaches are not covered by those principles. They are not covered by the sacrosanct FIFA principle of you release a player 14 days to a major tournament, and if you refuse to release that player, we will sanction you, we will fine you, that player will not be allowed to play for you during that period. So we went to that Nations Cup, I think it was in 2021, and the guy who was supposed to be our assistant had a deal with Dortmund that they didn't allow him. I personally thought that was the first sign of his lack of understanding about how important this job was. And I thought it was a key reason why you should never hand him anything.
If GFA have put their foot down,
they should have. Or should they have made a guy who is an assistant, another club, an assistant with the national team in that regard, knowing the complexities of it? If that guy cannot come to the biggest football tournament and play in the Nations Cup, what's he doing around? Does he understand how does a guy like that convince another player to be committed to the national team? So he will walk into a room and say all the nice things and everything. If the players are going to sit down and wonder, when we're struggling in Cameroon, it was you were happily doing a club football thing. there was a direct discord between the deeds and the words. And for me, it was not good for me. So that's why, but he wanted somebody who knew the team. It was a one-off game. We were playing a playoff against Nigeria, 1-2. And with coaching, you can come in, and we had to do. There were things we could do. We had to do against Nigeria that he did very efficiently. You've got to give him absolute credit for that. In the first game, 0-0, and also knows how to set up teams and frustrate you. Then in the next game, 1-1. That's how we qualified for the Nations Cup. So that began a trend. In Todado's era, we draw games, we're okay. But the two draws against Nigeria were so huge, it came with such a massive price. So everybody then got too excited. We went to the World Cup. But it also reminds me, having spent time in management myself, that impact, it is more difficult to sustain impact. You understand? So you could start a podcast, and the first few months, everybody says, this is brilliant. What have we learned about life? You are judged by consistency.
The last podcast.
Yes. Your next match is the most important match. You're judged by that. So if you get 10,000 views and the views drop, if you don't spend nights wondering, was it the filming, was it the lighting, was it the sound, was it my questions, was it my type of guest, you don't know what you're doing. And I thought that we just didn't understand that. We just sort of basically just allowed him too much freedom. And I thought that we didn't particularly do well. So we allowed that whole work to obscure our judgment of Fotuadu. So we sort of dropped the ball on that. And when he said he was leaving again, he said, he wanted to go back to Dortmund. And this was such a huge job. So there was a lot of pen post to understand that he really didn't fancy us that much. He would say differently, but I think his actions didn't reflect someone who did it.
What would be any bright spots as far as legacy is concerned?
I think the fact that so I've been a big advocate, and this is purely from what I think should be happening with Ghana football. When you look around the continent, and Ivory Coast is MS5, Ivorian, born in Paris, played for them, so he's come back home, he's leading that. Aliou Cissé did that brilliantly in Senegal. They won the Nations Cup, and then they won the Nations Cup again with another of those players. I think the latest one was born in, I grew up in France, but he's an ex-player. We're always going to come to a point where Africa was going to stop relying on third-hand, fourth-hand, fifth-hand European coaches who came here to come and take jobs at national team level for a very simple reason. A lot of our players got bigger opportunities in Europe, and the opportunities began to rise in the 90s. Tony Boateng and Frankfurt, Abedi Pele at Olympic Marseille, Augustin Ahinful in the 2000s. You look back to Steven Appiah, Michael Essien is working as a coach now. They got into that opening. The issue of foreign coaches in African clubs was a legacy of colonialism more than anything. Plus, they introduced the sport here, so they understood it more. We had a lot of cooperation with Germans. We had the famous Carlos Alberto Pereira, who won the World Cup with Brazil, come in and coach Ghana at some point off the back of these government arrangements and all that. But when we had the first Ghanaian to coach the Black Stars, I think CK Jensen, played his club football in Germany. This country put a lot of effort into growing him as a coach. Here we had a mass transfer of players to Europe. They played with the best coaches. They trained with the best players. They learned from the best. And I think maybe where we dropped the ball as a country is we didn't have any identifiable program, any identifiable skill to say, these are going to be our next set of coaches. And we are going to put in the money, the resources, everything, and be deliberate about developing them of our next set of coaches. So we didn't have that. But these players were making their way. Fotuadu, by virtue of where he was born, obviously has better opportunities. He was born in Germany, he grew up in Germany, he played for Dortmund. It's easier for him to get into the coaching system in Germany. He gets a job as a star, he gets a job sitting on the bench, he learns from the Jürgen Klopp. So it was following a trend on the African continent where these players were returning to lead their various national teams. And for me, that's why Otuado's appointment was symbolic in that regard. And we've had a lot of local coaches because 29. Oh.
I saw it. I was watching. The guys want us to play a game. Let me hurry and drop these guys. Oh, come on! See my baby so.
Is the taxi business worth it?
Yeah, it can be a good source of income if you work hard and smart.
What do you like about it?
The freedom and flexibility it offers.
Is there something that you don't like about it?
Dealing with angry or rude passengers.
What kind of income can you earn?
It depends on how many hours you work and how busy the city is.
It doesn't seem worth it to me.
It's pretty. Be fresh. Hello.
Yeah, Davido.
Ava.
I do, boss.
Sharp. Voice line is slow. I said be more online. You me see me drive it. Me game me see the kind of gunshots and then me no guy. He hear me. Me hear me. Ooh. See I be content. Oh my God, what a feeling. 21st century. You see, okay. It's over. Ouch. See my baby, it's over. It's over. It's over. My baby, it's over. Pretty, 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 pretty girl, what you doing? Nah, that's fine. Yep. Boy, sorry. Speed. Go ahead. See how we feel.